Hello and welcome. I am Abyss from Killjoy Gaming, and today we are doing another deck demo, this time for the King of Defense, which is Superheavy Samurai. Now without further ado, let's get going. When I can't remember what to click, and I love talking to myself apparently. Alright, so this is a very budget-friendly deck. You're paying most for it in SR CP, more on that later. Now we'll start with a card that isn't even a Superheavy Samurai. There is one copy of Frame Driver, which is a vanilla 6-star needed for Frame Gear Gamma. More on that later. One Superheavy Samurai Soulbuster Gauntlet. Two Superheavy Samurai Soulbuster Gauntlet. Effect is, you can target one Superheavy Samurai monster you control, equip this monster from your hand or field to that target, against 400 defense. And the effect you're really using it for, during either player's turn during this damage step, when a defense position Superheavy Samurai monster you control battles an opponent's monster, and you have no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. Your battling monster's defense becomes double its original defense until the end of turn, which means your Superheavy Samurais are going to be swinging for a lot. The special thing about Superheavy Samurais is most of them can attack from defense position. Now we have one Superheavy Samurai Blowtorch. When an opponent's monster declares an attack while you have no spell or trap cards in your graveyard, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to target one Superheavy Samurai monster you control, change the attack target to it, and perform damage calculation. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can change the attack target to this card and perform damage calculation. This cannot be destroyed by battle. Wonderful hand trap, and it's okay, I guess, on the field if you want to redirect attacks to it. Next, we have one copy of Superheavy Samurai Soul Horns. You can target one Superheavy Samurai monster you control, equip that monster from your hand. Equip this monster from your hand to your side of the field to that target. It can make a second attack during each battle phase. While this card is equipped to a monster by this card effect, you can special summon this card. You can only use the effect of Superheavy Samurai Soul Horns once per turn. This is your double attacker. It makes 4 great OTK plays. Next, we have 3 copies of Superheavy Samurai Soul Peacemaker. You can target one Superheavy Samurai monster you control, equip this card from your hand or field to that target. While this card is equipped to a monster by this effect, monsters your opponent controls cannot attack monsters you control except the equipped monster. I've never read that effect. Okay then, apparently it's more than just, hey, this second effect. You can tribute a monster you control equipped with this card by this effect, special summon one Superheavy Samurai monster from your deck. You can only use this effect as Superheavy Samurai Soul Piercer once per turn. This gets you pretty much any Superheavy Samurai monster you want to the field. More on that later. Next, we have Superheavy Samurai Helper. During damage calculation, if the defense position monster battles an opponent's monster while you have no spell and trap in your graveyard, quick effect! You can discard this card and target one Superheavy Samurai monster you control. Other than the battling monster, your battling monsters gain the effect equal to that monster's effect during the damage calculation only. When an opponent's monster declares direct attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Superheavy Samurai monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Oh, this is great when you have multiple monsters and you need your big bunguses to be bigger. Not to mention when you're board wiped, you can banish this from your graveyard on a direct attack and special summon your big bunguses. So far, we really haven't seen the big bungus part of this deck, but we haven't seen the synchros yet. To maxi, why not? I'm trying to stray away for this deck to make it more budget friendly, but I needed extra space and I didn't feel like shoving more Superheavy Samurai hand traps in the deck. So why not shove 2 good ones? Just to reiterate what Maxi does, during either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard this turn. Each time your opponent special summons a monster, immediately draw 1 card. You can only use 1 Maxi per turn. Next, we have Superheavy Samurai Trumpeter. If you control another spell spell or trap cards in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. After this card was special summoned this way, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Superheavy Samurai monsters. If this card is tribute for a tribute summon and sent to the graveyard, and you have no spell or traps in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. Great for when you want to summon the only big bungus you'd ever tribute, Benkei. But there's better ways, like Soul Peacemaker. Next we have 3 copies of Battle Ball. If all monsters you control are Superheavy Samurais and you have no spell traps cards in your graveyard, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls that has a level. Send both it and this card from the field to the graveyard. Special summon one card from your extra deck. Special summon from your extra deck one Superheavy Samurai Synchro monster whose level is the total original level of those 2 cards. Those 2 monsters in the graveyard. God, this text is awful. This special summon is treated as a synchro summon though. You can only use this effect of Superheavy Samurai Battle Ball once per turn. This is where your kaijus come in place, or when you don't need your kaijus to get train or any of your wonderful different leveled I can't talk apparently today. Superheavy Samurai monsters. Next we have 2 Frame Gear Gammas. Cannot be normal summoned. Must be special summoned by a card effect. When your opponent activates a monster while you control no monsters, quick effect, you can special summon both this card from your hand and one Frame Driver from your hand, deck, or graveyard. If you do, negate that activation. And if you do that, destroy that monster. During the end phase, banish all face-up monsters that were special summoned by this effect. Yeah, you need a brick before this card. But it's a hand trap negate. Your only other staple card in this deck. I really don't count Hulk, but Hulk could be considered one for synchro decks. Next we have Superheavy Samurai Fist. During your battle phase, if Superheavy Samurai monster is destroyed, if your Superheavy Samurai monster destroys an opponent's monster of a battle, this battle phase, quick effect, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, synchro summon one monster using materials you control, including this card. If you have no spell or traps in your graveyard, you can target one Superheavy Samurai Synchro monster you control, reduce its level by 1. If you do, special summon this card from your graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Superheavy Samurai monsters. You can only use each effect of Superheavy Samurai Fist once per turn. Great way to finish out the game if you don't have easy ways to get into Soul Buster Gauntlet or Soul Horns for multiple attacks and doubling that in the defense of your big bunguses. Next we have 1 copy of Superheavy Samurai Flutist. You can tribute this card special summon one Superheavy Samurai monster from your hand during either player's turn. When a card or effect is activated that targets Superheavy Samurai monster you control, you can banish this card from your graveyard. If you negate that activation, if you do, destroy that card. You can only use each effect of Superheavy Samurai Flutist once per turn. Next will become the 6 cards that are the bread and butter combos of your deck. Superheavy Samurai Scales. If your opponent controls 2 or more monsters and you control no monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is no more special summon, you can target one level 4 or lower Superheavy Samurai monster in your graveyard except Superheavy Samurai Scales. Special summon in defense position. You can only use this effect of Superheavy Samurai Scales once per turn. Next we have the other bread and butter card, Superheavy Samurai Soul Piercer. You can target one Superheavy Samurai monster you control, equip this monster from your hand or your side of the field to that target. If it attacks a defensive monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent. And the part that really matters when you don't want piercing, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one Superheavy Samurai monster from your deck to your hand, except Superheavy Samurai Soul Piercer. The great thing you can do with this is you can normal summon this, link it off for a Scarecrow, trigger the effect, grab whatever Superheavy Samurai you need. If you don't have a Scales, it'd be wonderful to grab a Scales. Next, activate Scarecrow, which we will get on Scarecrow's effect later. Pitching Scales to special summon Scales. And then using Scales effect to summon Soul Piercer. Which this does not have a hard once per turn either, for some apparent reason. Next we have the final card. that gets you pretty much whatever you want. Less than Soul Piercer, but more than most. When this card is special, normal special summon, you can change battle position. This card can attack while it's in face-up defense position. With its 1800 attack, it can reasonably hit over things. If this card does apply its defense for damage calculation. If you have no spell or traps in your graveyard, you can change this face-up card from defense position you control to attack position. And if you do, add one Superheavy Samurai soul monster, so you know, Soul Piercer, Soul Horn, Soul Buster, not Blow Torture. Yeah, those three. Gauntlet, Horns, or Pierce. Back to the effect of this card. From your deck to your hand, you can only use this effect of Superheavy Samurai Wagon once per turn. Now for the big bungus that makes every big bungus. When this card is normal special summon, you can change its battle position. Superheavy Samurai monsters you control can attack while in face-up defense. If they do, they apply their defense for damage calculation. So this makes it so any Superheavy Samurai monster you control can attack from defense position. It's wonderful. But reasonably, he is humongous with a 3500 defense, which you can get off of Soul Piercer, Soul Peacemaker, or Soul Piercer, but Soul Peacemaker can special summon it. Next we have our Kaijus, which go great with Battle Ball for those pesky untargetables. This will go into your level 10. So we have two Godarla, the Mystery Dust Kaiju. You can special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's side of the field in attack position by tributing one of their monsters they control. If your opponent controls a Kaiju, you can special summon this card in attack position. You can only control one Kaiju monster once per turn. The rest of this effect does not matter. All you need to know that all Kaijus contribute your opponent's monster and special summon it to their side of the field, which then you can proceed to Battle Ball it away for its respective monster. Next we have two Superheavy Samurai Thief. If you have no more spell and traps in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. After this card was special summoned this way, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Superheavy Samurai monsters. You contribute this card, then activate one of these effects. Destroy one card in your opponent's spell or trap zone, then you can set the destroyed spell or trap card to your side of the field. You can steal your opponent's spell and traps. You can destroy one card in your opponent's pendulum zone, then place that destroyed card in your pendulum zone. You can also steal your opponent's pendulums with this. Finally, we have the level 10 Kaiju, which with Battle Ball goes into Superheavy Samurai Steam Train King, the big bungest of big bunguses for your deck. Now onto the Synchro Lineup. We have one Heavy Metal Marcher. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target one tuner in your graveyard, special summon in defense position, but its effects are negated. You can only use this effect of Heavy Metal Marcher once per turn. A synchro monster that uses this card as material is treated as a tuner while face up on the field. Wonderful when you don't have tuners, and you need to get into a bigger bungus. Also, it brings back a tuner, which means in most cases you're bringing back Horn, or Trumpeter, or Battle Ball, because those are your tuners. You could bring Fist, but in all honesty, any of these would get it done. They're all level 2s to go into, Ogre. My bad, not Ogre. Technically, you're 5, which we're on one of. This is Superheavy Samurai Swordmaster Musashi. Requires one tuner and one or more non-tuners. When this card is synchro summoned, you can target one machine monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. And if you have no spell or traps in your graveyard, you can normal or if you have spell and traps in your graveyard, you cannot normal or special summon it, or a monster with its same name. Hence why there are no spell and traps in this deck. You steal your opponent's good enough. For the rest of this turn, this card can attack while face up in defense position. If it does, it applies defense first damage calc. Your first big bungus synchro, it's the weakest of the most, but it can add a machine monster back to your hand, which means you can get back your Soulbuster gauntlets, which is wonderful, or one of your other hand trap cards. But Soulbuster Gauntlet, come on now. Make your big bunguses even bigger. Draw fear. Next we have Superheavy Samurai Ogre Shujindoshi. 1 machine type tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners. Superheavy Samurai monster specifically though. This card can attack while face up in defense position. If it does, it applies its defense for calc. It has 25 defense position. Good luck honesting it with 500 attack. When it's synchro summoned, while you control no spells and traps in your graveyard, you just Harpy Feather Duster. Destroy all spell and traps your cards your opponent controls. It's a beast stick Harpy's Feather Duster, and we run 2 of them. Next we have our level 7 1 machine type tuner or 1 or more non-tuner machine type monsters. This card can attack in defense position. If it does, apply its defense for damage calc. This has 2800 defense. We are slowly getting bigger in the bunguses. Still nothing bigger than Benkei yet. Oh, we're getting there though. If you have no spell or traps in your graveyard, you can have the original attack of this card until the end of turn. And if you do, this card can attack your opponent directly. Once per turn, during your next standby phase after this card was destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card. Now, if your opponent beats over by battle, there's not much you can do, but if they decide to destroy it by card effect, it will come back. And if your opponent is low on life points, which undoubtedly they probably will if you did not OTK them, you can have it to 14 and then attack directly. And if you have Soulbuster Gauntlet, it doubles it back to 28. It's kind of wonderful. Next we have our level 9. No, I skipped our level 8. My bad. Our level 8 Superheavy Samurai. Superheavy Samurai Ninja Sarutobi. This requires 1 machine type tuner and 1 or more non-tuner Superheavy Samurai monsters. This card can attack defense position. If it does, apply its defense for calc. It has 2800 defense position, but has a sizable attack as well, surprisingly. Beware of Honest. Once per turn during either player's turn, if you have no spells and traps in your graveyard, you can target 1 spell or trap on the field and destroy it. If you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. You're not going to really be using this effect very much, so... or really summoning it, you'd rather summon some of your other Superheavy Samurais. You know, like the walking Harpy's Feather Duster. Or the man that can attack directly, as he has a lower attack and the same defense. I keep him around because he's level 8. Next we have our level 9 with a 2500 defense. This requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner Superheavy Samurai monsters to attack. This card can attack in defense. If you do, to apply its defense for damage calc. If you have no spell or traps in your grave, this card gains 900 defense for each special summon monster your opponent controls. This can get ginormous, especially if fighting someone who likes to spam. Not really a great Soulbuster target though, I think. Actually, yeah, you can double that to like 5,000 and then it gains. So yeah, technically everything is a Soulbuster target in this deck. That can attack from defense position, of course. Next we have our level 10, which is our level 8 Kaiju target. This requires 1 or more, 1 machine type tuner or 1 or more non-tuner Superheavy Samurai monsters. This card attack and face up defense. If you do, applies defense for damage calc. The first one, bigger than Big Benkei, with a sizable 3,800 defense. Now its effect is once per turn during either player's turn, so technically a quick effect. If you have no spell or traps in your graveyards, you can target 1 spell or trap card in your opponent's graveyard, set it on your side of the field, banish it when it leaves the field. You can steal your opponent's imperms. You can steal your opponent's pretty much anything you want in your opponent's graveyard, any staple card, Forbidden Droplet, Upstarts, you name it, as long as it's a spell or trap. Infinite impermanences. It's wonderful. Next we have the biggest bungest of biggest bungus, the Superheavy Samurai Steam Train King, and I did not mean to take one of those out. With a massive 4,800 Doubling it with Soulbuster Gauntlet brings it to a 9,000 defense point monster, which it can attack from defense, and if it does, applies defense for damage calc. Now this is your biggest Battle Ball target because it requires 2 or more non-tuner Super Heavy Samurai monsters and 1 Super Heavy Samurai tuner, which can be bypassed with Battle Ball. Which is why we run 3 of the level 10 kaijus, because we need your opponent to run level 10s, and not everyone does. Now, its effect isn't, really usable, and technically is usable. Once per turn, you can discard up to 2 cards and target that many cards your opponent controls and destroys them. Oh, yeah, it's targeting destroying. Once per turn, you can banish all spell and trap cards in your opponent's graveyard. If you do, inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each card banished. Great for cleaning up games. If he does not big bungus his way to the top. Next we have the final part of the try bread and butter combo. Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow. Requires 1 Super Heavy Samurai monster. Cannot be used as link material. While you have no spell and traps in your graveyard, you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. If you have no spell or traps in your graveyard, you can discard 1 monster, then target 1 Super Heavy Samurai monster in your graveyard, special summon it to a zone this card points to, which is the bottom left. So be careful with zone placement. In defense position, you can only use the effect of Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow once per turn. And we run 3 of these because why not? Finally, we have Hulk. Even though I don't go into him very often, he does exist in the deck. He requires 2 monsters, including a tuner. If this card is link summon, you can special summon 1 level 3 lower tuner, which is all of yours, from your hand or deck in defense position, but its effects cannot be activated this turn. During your opponent's main phase or battle phase, quick effect, you can banish this card. You control special summon 1 tuner synchro monster from your extra deck. This is treated as a synchro summon. You can only use each effective Crystron Hulky Fiber Axe once per turn. Now to the deck's cost. As you can see here, this is my Super Heavy Samurai CP breakdown. Requiring 240 UR CP, 180 if not counting staples, 150 if including Hulk as a staple, which I don't, so 180. This takes a 510 SRCP. This is where it's going to hit you the hardest, is in your SRCP. Thankfully not the UR. If you're removing the hand traps from it, the SR hand traps, it will be 450 SRCP. Next, the hardest hitting category, which you should have plenty of, 660 rare CP. And finally, it takes 240 normal CP. With that out of the way, let's move on to me running a game of this. And most likely getting matched up terribly. But since we're in silver, that's okay. I am less likely to fight meta trash. Hopping in ranked here. And let's begin. Hello, person I cannot speak their name of. I want to go second. Alright, let's see how my hand is going to be today. I can make it work. Excuse me? Oh, fun. Yeah, you know, let's do the bread and butter combo. We Soul Piercer to the grave from the field. Get a Scarecrow. Activate the Soul Piercer. get a Scales to my hand. Activate the effect of Scarecrow. Pitch the Scales. Target the Scales. Activate the Scales. Get the Soul Piercer back. Special summon the Trumpeter. Let's go for this big bungus. Hello, Warlord. He does not have a once per turn. Thank you, my friend. Let's grab me a... Targeting this man. Activate my friend here. What do I want to special summon? I guess we can bring the Big Bang K out. Nah. I don't want to turn you to attack position. Let's hit you for 30. 38. What is this? Oh god, I forgot I'm in silver. Yeah. That's all I wrote this turn. Let's see if this man can make a comeback. He's running 60 cards. Silver, my friends. Wonderful. Yeah, that's what I thought. You can't beat the big bunguses. Let's do one more. See if we can get someone with a competent deck in silver. Doubtful, but you know. Oh, we're fighting Kirito, people. Let's go second again. 1, 2 coin flips, 2 of 2 and coin flips. That's great. Alright, let's see how this hand is. Not so great. Hello, opponent. Do you exist? Apparently my neck is broken again. Wonderful. There we go. A little better. Hello, my opponent? Well, you have a 40 card deck. That's better. But a 5 card extra deck. I should still be worried. Hello, my opponent. Do you exist? What was my opponent playing? Alright, we gotta see this. Nope, wrong button. Confirm opponent's deck. Oh. Yep, this is silver. Well, we got the bread and butter combo off. I don't feel like finding another person who is that terrible. But as I was saying, this thing has big bunguses for days. So here's my stuff if you want to follow me. It was in the beginning of the video, but I feel like I should put it again. But I thank you all for watching, and I shall see you next time. Peace.